Hello guys, and welcome to another edition of the Defenders of India series. Last week I put out a poll and you guys answered the poll pretty emphatically. A lot of you wanted me to talk about Krishnadevaraya of the Vijayanagara Empire, so that's who we are going to talk about today. Krishnadevaraya was an emperor of the Vijayanagara Empire who reigned from 1509 to 1529. He is the third ruler of the Tuluva dynasty. Krishnadevaraya was the son of Tuluva Narasha Nayaka, an army commander under Saluva Narasimhadevaraya, who later took control of the empire to prevent its disintegration. Krishnadevaraya was friendly with the Portuguese, and thus many Portuguese travelers visited Vijayanagar. They indicated that the king was not only an able administrator, but also an excellent general, leading from the front in battle and even attending to the wounded. Krishnadevaraya was instrumental in establishing the strength of the Vijayanagara Empire, and in establishing the same, he defeated all the various Deccan Sultanates as well. This is why the famous South Indian poet Mukku Timmana praised him as the Destroyer of the Turks. He became the dominant ruler of the peninsula of India by defeating the sultans of Bijapur, Golconda, the Bahmani Sultanate, and the Gajapatis of Odisha. Towns and villages on the border between the Vijayanagara Empire and the Deccan Sultanates always lived in fear because of the various annual raids that the Deccan Sultanates would carry out in these bordering towns. Thus, the annual affair of the raid and plunder of Vijayanagar towns and villages by the Deccan Sultans came to an end during the Raya's rule. In 1509, Krishnadevaraya's armies clashed with the Sultan of Bijapur at Divani, and the Sultan Mahmud was severely injured and defeated. Yusuf Adil Khan was killed, and the Raichur Doab was annexed. Taking advantage of the victory and the disunity of the Bahmani Sultans, the Raya invaded Bidar, Gulbarga, and Bijapur and earned the title Establisher of the Yavana Kingdom. The Sultan of Golconda, Sultan Kuli Qutub Shah, was also defeated by Timarusu, who was the prime minister of Krishnadevaraya. Krishnadevaraya then launched a campaign towards the Andhra and Odisha. He defeated the Musunuri Kammas of Khammam and the Velamas of Bhuvanagiri, who were feudatory of Gajapati kings of Odisha, and seized lands up to the Krishna river. Gangaraj, the Umatur chief, fought Krishnadevaraya on the banks of the Kaveri and was defeated. The chief later drowned in the Kaveri in 1512. Thus, after his victories in 1516 and 1517, he pushed towards the Godavari river. After defeating Gangaraj, he launched a campaign into coastal Andhra region, which was in control of the Gajapati Pratap Rudradev. The Vijayanagar army laid siege to the Udaygiri fort in 1512, and after a long and bloody struggle, the Udaygiri fort fell into the hands of the Vijayanagar Empire. Krishnadevaraya then planned for an invasion of the mainland Kalinga Utkal, but the Gajapati Emperor Pratap Rudra already had ideas of Krishnadevaraya's plans to attack Kalinga directly. So he was preparing an ambush for Krishnadevaraya. However, Krishnadevaraya's wily Prime Minister Timarusu, he actually found a Kalinga deserter and thus found out the plans to ambush Krishnadevaraya, thus allowing the Raya to get a massive advantage in the battle, and thus the Gajapati Emperor Pratap Rudra had to retreat as far back as Cuttack. After that, Pratap Rudradev surrendered to the Vijayanagar Empire, and the two kingdoms signed a treaty, and as per the treaty, the Krishna river became the boundary of the Vijayanagar and the Odisha kingdoms. One of the main points of Krishnadevaraya's reign occurred in May 1520 when he secured the fortress of Raichur from Ismail Adil Shah of Bijapur. Ismail Adil Shah of Bijapur had established himself as the most powerful of the Deccan Sultanate. He had defeated the Sultanates of Berar, Ahmednagar, Golconda, and Bidar. So the details of the battle to take the fortress of Raichur was provided by a Portuguese traveler named Fernão Nunes. He reported that after a difficult siege in which an estimated 16,000 Vijayanagar soldiers were killed, the fortress of Raichur was finally in the hands of the Vijayanagar Empire. The exploits of the chief military commander of Vijayanagar army, Pemmasani Ramalinga Nayadu, during the Battle of Raichur were also recognized and rewarded by the grateful Emperor Krishnadevaraya. Then finally, in what was his last battle, he destroyed to the ground the fortress of Gulbarga, which was the early capital of the Bahmani Sultanate. His empire thus extended over the whole of South India. What's also again important to remember is that this is not a king that sat on the sidelines while his armies fought. He was often the one leading the charge in front of the armies into battle. In 1524, he made his son Tirumalaraya the Yuvraj, or the crown prince. However, the crown prince did not survive for long. He was poisoned and died. Suspecting the involvement of Timarusu, his advisor, Krishnadevaraya had his trusted commander and advisor blinded. At the same time, Krishnadevaraya was preparing for an attack on Belgaum that was in the Adil Shah's possession. Krishnadevaraya took seriously ill during this time and he died soon after in 1529. Krishnadevaraya's rule is widely regarded as one of the golden periods of the Vijayanagara Empire. He abolished unnecessary taxes, he maintained a strict check on his ministers, and he developed massive irrigation programs and agricultural programs as well. Foreign travelers such as Pace, Nunes and Barbosa, who visited Vijayanagar, spoke highly of the efficiency of administration and the prosperity of the people during his reign. Barbosa, a Portuguese traveler, considered Vijayanagar to be the best provided city in the world with a population of not less than 500,000 people. The administrative languages of the empire were Kannada and Telugu. The latter was also the court language. And even though Krishnadevaraya was a staunch Hindu and a very proud Hindu, but he was also very tolerant and accepting of other ways of life, and that is something that was noted by the traveler Barbosa, who visited Vijayanagar as well. He said, "The king allows such freedom that every man may come and go, live according to his own creed, without suffering and annoyance." Krishnadevaraya was also a big patron of the arts. The 8 giants of Telugu poetry, collectively known as Ashtadiggjalu, were also part of his court, including the legendary Tenali Raman, whose stories are famous all across India. Raya himself authored several works in Sanskrit: Madalasa Charita, Satyavadu Parinay and Jambavati Kalyana. And this is one of the reasons why all Indians must be so thankful to the Vijayanagar kingdom and various southern kingdoms in general as well. It is because these kingdoms of the south played such an important role in maintaining and preserving Hindu literature, Hindu culture and Hindu languages and the Hindu way of life. While the vast majority of northern Indians were suffering under the Islamic rule, it was these kingdoms in the south that took up the mantle of preserving Hinduism and Hindus' way of life. Under the Vijayanagara Empire and under the various southern kingdoms, our culture thrived, our languages flourished, and our literature blossomed, and for that we owe them a huge debt of gratitude. And this is why the whole south-north divide and the dislike that some people in the north have towards the south and vice versa, it makes no sense, because we're all on the same team here. We're all fighting to preserve our heritage and our cultures, and we're all very, very proud of our culture, which is evident in our long history. And that is why when you truly get to read history, when you truly immerse yourself in India's history, all this Dravidian politics and ideology and pseudo-history, it doesn't really make sense. Because these are people, kingdoms of the south, the most famous kingdoms of the south, that are proudly Hindu and that proudly defend and bravely fight for Hinduism. Again, guys, thank you very much for watching today's episode. If you like today's episode, please press a thumbs up. Please give this episode a like. Helps me out, helps the channel out. Please let me know which king you would like me to do a video on next. I will provide 2 other options this week on Twitter and Facebook, so please make sure to follow me on Facebook and Twitter and make sure to go check those options out. If you enjoy what we do here on the Sham Sharma Show, please make sure to subscribe to the show's channel down below and over here. I will see you again for the next episode, and until then, stay happy, stay healthy, and I'll see you soon.